If you think perfectly creamy risotto that flows like silky lava, can only be made by tediously adding broth one ladleful at a time, stirring constantly, and muttering prayers to your grandma or your neighbor's Italian grandma, then I have good news. Risotto is actually really easy and really fast. If you like the meditation of the low and slow method, then by all means carry on. But if you're interested in learning a quick and easy method, heavily influenced by Italian restaurant techniques, then grab a pan and a wooden spoon and let's get to it. This is my simplest base recipe with as few ingredients as possible. Medium grain rice is non-negotiable, both for its starchiness and its toothsome texture. The broth you use is flexible. Use what you like, just make sure it's hot and steamy. Cold broth will work, but it will slow you down a lot. So first you're going to toast your rice in butter, theoretically until the rice grains are translucent around the edges, but overall you just want the rice to start smelling slightly toasty and delicious. Next you add most of your broth. Yes, all at once. I know I'm using a ladle here, but you can just pour it all in. Once it's bubbling happily, you're going to start stirring vigorously. But you don't have to stir constantly. Go grab a glass of wine or do some dishes, just make sure to keep an eye on your pot and give it frequent, brisk stirs. Stirring briskly helps to knock around the rice starches on the surface of the grains, releasing them into the broth. This is where the silky texture comes from. It's not time, it's not patience, it's starch. Jumping ahead in time here, see how the texture has changed? 8 minutes of simmering and frequent stirring and your rice will be much more plump and should be nearly tender. How do you know? Well, take a taste. Next, you're going to add another splash of broth. This is your adjustment phase. Stir constantly, keeping track of the texture of both the rice grains and the saucy broth. Remember, if it's perfect in the pot, it will be overcooked and stodgy by the time you serve. Take it off the heat when it's just a touch too soupy and the rice is just a hair too firm. The carryover cooking will do the rest. And now the final touches. Butter and cheese melt into the starchy broth, emulsifying into a silky, savory sauce. It is easier to do one at a time to make extra sure you don't break the emulsion, but if you're feeling bold, go ahead and add the butter and cheese together. Just keep stirring until everything is all melted in. Okay, just look at this. Look at how silky and creamy this has become. Do you see how my wooden spoon leaves a trail as I drag it through, but the risotto flows really quickly to cover the trail? That lava-like texture is what risotto is all about. And finally, my not-so-secret ingredient, a splash of white balsamic vinegar. The acidity and subtle sweetness balances the richness of the butter and cheese, lifting and brightening the flavors without losing any luxury. You can use lemon juice or a different vinegar if you prefer. I'll often reach for unseasoned rice vinegar when I'm out of white balsamic. The important thing is that gentle lift of acidity. Seasoning with acidity is as important as seasoning with salt. And speaking of which, check your work, give it a taste, adjust as needed, and voila, you're done, ready to serve. I told you it was easy. I really love the flexibility of risotto. This super basic recipe is so cozy with nothing more than an extra sprinkle of cheese, but it's also the perfect canvas for any number of flavors. And once you get it on the stove, it's 15 minutes until you're ready to eat it, which actually makes it a perfect weeknight meal. As always, for the whole recipe, plus tons of additional tips and tricks, head over to my website. I'll walk you through everything from choosing tools and ingredients to adapting the recipe to fit your personal preferences. If you're looking for further inspiration, check out my upcoming videos where I'll be sharing my favorite flavor combinations, all using this recipe as a starting off point. Thanks for watching and happy cooking!